What amazing characters, guys. It's really, really absolute screamer of character interaction. Thank you. And very great player talent as well, too. Obviously, the ultimate intention of a party is for people to be together and to not fight each other, but you both didn't walk up
close.
and say, hi, will you be my friend? Okay, good, we're together now. What's next?
I don't know. I think, Derek was giving a mind spike to Nathan's dwarf for a while there. That could have gone a different way. That could have gone a mind nudge. A mind nudge.
Nudging, yeah, that's... Look, can I be honest? I needed it because I was in a bit of a weird way, actually, yeah. So it was good.
It was fantastic. So to recap, we have Suno. Derek's playing Suno. He's Kalashtar. We don't really know much about his class yet, but he has some kind of dream kind of ability to communicate with people's minds. We have Johnny's playing Lorkal, who's a Furbolg, and he kind of went into a kind of a rage, so perhaps that suggests he's maybe a barbarian. Nathan is playing Faradus. You haven't actually said your name yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
No. He's a dwarf, clearly, and he clearly has radiant holy power, so he must either be a cleric or a paladin, perhaps, the way he's built.
I can't remember.
And Murray did introduce herself. She's playing Eressa, who's a half-elf, though she doesn't know it. She doesn't never know it. None of you have actually seen a mirror. And seems to be able to spontaneously cast magic that just emanates straight out of her mind, so that suggests she's perhaps a sorcerer of some description. Awesome. The warmth of friendship, though comforting, is no long-term solution for standing out in the cold, even as well rugged up as you are, and slowly kind of the reality of what's around you comes creeping back in. There's kind of a natural human need to find shelter, to get under a roof, because the snow is starting to fall ever more thickly, and presumably night comes at some point if this is any kind of real normal world. So what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? There are certainly no buildings that would offer sufficient... Oh, there's the building the Furbolg walked out of, which kind of sort of has a little bit of wall sort of thing, a bit.
I think standing in our circle of hand-holding, I might say, so, what do friends do?
I love it. That's amazing.
Well, I think I may need some help. And I turn my gaze to the Furbolg and say, a boost up, please.
Ooh, good idea.
I'm going to mumble, not me, but not intentionally, just like as if it's like nobody picks me up the ground. I'm a meatball attached to the ground. That's where I live.
I love it. I love it.
No, I point to the roof of the building that's next to us. It's not. Is it crumbling? Is it going to fall apart if I jump up onto it? Or
so you walk back over to the building which is nearby, which the Furbolg emerged from. And there seems like there's enough kind of structure. It's a rare building that kind of maybe it was more expensive or more solid, and it has at least kind of one level of walls and then the smashed ceiling and smashed roof, which you should better climb up on for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I ask for a boost.
Yeah. I boost you up.
Excellent.
I think I can do that pretty effortlessly.
Yeah.
That's okay with you, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
I think
you boost, so the Kalashtar is now sort of half holding on the unstable ruins of this building, yes?
So, I sort of, gracefully stand up to get as much of a view of this surrounding area as I can, and I'm looking for any sort of building that might offer us some decent shelter, but I'm also looking at the trail of destruction and seeing if there's a source of it, or if there was a one place or more. I'm kind of keenly interested for some reason in what caused this.
I call up and say, do you see any other survivors?
Do I?
So, imagine a one-town town.
Hang on, sorry. Break that in my mind.
So one road town,
a one-town town, Ben. I need to know more.
A one road town. I can speak the English good.
There you go.
A one road town in kind of so on the side that where Murray's character Eressa was hiding amongst the forest is a forest that comes almost down to the back of buildings on one side of the road that goes off into a steadily rising hill, heavily forested with thick fir trees covered in snow. There's a road out on both sides of the town heading off into kind of grassy, snow-covered wasteland. The snow is only maybe kind of a foot thick or so it's, there's still a little bit of road still showing.
1/3 of
the snow
height.
That's right. There's only a dozen or so buildings that make up this what was the town, but the ground is ripped up and has been turned molten in multiple spots, and the church that's at one end of the town has been decimated, and almost all the other buildings are completely shattered, including some of the trees. 3 rows of trees going up into the forest, as I mentioned. So in terms of where the power emanated, do you have any kind of construction sort of abilities or magical arcana sort of thing? Or
no, I have insight.
I'm good
you
with
give me an
stone.
insight check. Yep.
I actually have an ability as a dwarf to be able to get advantage on rolls when dealing with stone and stonecraft. So could I understand I know how heavy stone is and how much it takes to move it. Looking around and seeing just the shattered building, can I determine how powerful it was or where it came from? I'm going to take that as a yes and roll.
Yes. Yep, roll. And Derek, roll as well.
I got a 19.
19 on insight, yeah.
You know what? That was a good roll, Derek. Go.
You got a 15? That's not a bad roll either.
Yeah.
Having seen where each of the... Did you see Mari's character emerge? You did, didn't you? You noticed the fire?
Yep, I saw the fire.
So the fire, which is now dying down-ish, it looks like an explosive force tsunami, maybe. I mean, detonations aren't a thing really that you're familiar with, or even just obviously because of the whole amnesia thing is a bit confusing. But certainly things radiate out of that point. The church seems like it just literally exploded, and the stones are thrown outwards in all directions from within the church. The building that the Furbolg walked out of, though he did a sort of bit of extra demolition on the door as he tried to sort of duck underneath it, indeed seems like maybe it was a siege stone or something came flying through the roof of this building and shattered the big hole. Because it's broken in, looking down into the building, you can see that the roof has been shattered, the rafters have been shattered, the ceiling's been shattered, and then the basement, the basement has been revealed by mainly removing all the floorboards that were in the middle of it. And then you yourself as well, there seems to be an emanation of sort of radial lines of energy having passed away from where you found yourself. So
Goodness.
that's strange.
So that is not good to hear.
And also, it occurs to you that maybe all of you occurs to you sort of look at your hands at some point, kind of sort of work out what you look like because you haven't had a look at yourselves, and you do notice you are all unharmed, despite. That's right. I'm short. The ground's close. You all are unharmed. Your fingertips are pretty kind of chilly and blue at the moment, but looking at this. Numbers of corpses, maybe 24 or so different corpses, some amongst the 1,000 things, all look like they've been shaken in the jaws of a dragon or some mythical creature, none of which you've ever seen or even have memories of anyway.
With the insight I had, did I see, was it like as if something fell and hit this town, or is it like what would do this damage in my head? Like, so think of a dwarven equivalent of what power this would be or something.
Yeah.
Wizards' fireballs, thrown massive siege stones,
like an ogre,
kind of those sorts of things.
An ogre, an orc, or like a huge, like
maybe a giant came through and smashed buildings with a club or something. It's hard to tell. But then the ground looks like it's been heated up as and Johnny's character talked about kind of this magical energy that was withdrawing up into the clouds. So maybe he was just trying to relax Eressa.
So I think Lorkal's maybe starting to figure out that the epicenters of the damage are actually the 4 locations that we found ourselves in. So we sort of verbally process that.
It's like it came from us.
Did we do this?
I'm gonna, at that point, can I look down at the blood on the vest that I'm wearing, and just start to immediately get guilt that the person who I've the blood who I've that's still
Heartlessly strip
wet.
the clothes off the fallen victim. Yes.
It's still wet.
It's
and
not much blood. Most of the death seems to happen just like by literally pummeling with force. There's
that makes it
they're
better.
not cut open. That's right.
All bludgeoning damage.
Mainly bludgeoning damage.
But so
Eressa's clothes are pretty pocked with blood, but
Right,
yeah.
but there's no signs of burning or acid damage.
No
Okay,
signs of
so
burning, acid damage.
Eressa is strangely comforted by the fact that no, definitely
Yeah.
not. Definitely
While
not
on
me.
the other hand,
And I'm sure
Lorkal
my
is quite
friends would
concerned.
never do that.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
friends would never do that. Would you? You wouldn't. I'm Eressa. Who are you? I say to Nathan.
I'm Faradus.
Faradus.
I
You
think
wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't do anything like this, would you? To stone or people?
I'm gonna hold my hands up, still covered with some of the blood, because I went along and actually, and I'm just not gonna answer, and I'm just gonna kind of just take it all in and kind of hold that emotion of what
I've
have I
held
done?
those hands. They haven't done that. What about you? I call up to the building top. You haven't done this, have you?
The building answers.
I have no memory of doing this. That does not mean I didn't.
I love the objectiveness of your character. That's really cool. It's twice now.
And what about you, Lorkal? You didn't do this, did you?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Right. That's good enough for me.
We have to move from here.
Yes, it's getting cold. It's
So
very
I'm-
cold. It's starting to see through your clothes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm starting to scout for a building that's less damaged, that's less and also, I'm
Like a
I
cave.
do want to see if there's like a cave. I'm kind of interested in this basement area that you talked about, and seeing if I can see down into that to see if there's stores or food or shelter or even firewood or coal or anything like that we could.
Yeah, certainly the basement looked like it was a place to store alcohol, most of which has been exploded into fine powder of bottles and a soaking of red and on the walls.
Okay.
And sticky mead once you jump down and you have a bit of a look down the hole. You possibly could all pass the night in this space if maybe there were some fabrics or something put up over the opening in the floor. That could be an option.
I
I'm
can't
going to
sleep
squeeze
with the sky above
Lorkal's
me.
hand, and I'm going to squeeze Faradus's hand and say, "What do you need? You need."
There's no safety here. Why are we staying in the open? We need to. I'm just I'm sensing this just emotion is just I can't stay in this place. There's I look around and I look at the dwarf body still in the street, and I'm just we can't stay. This is a place of death.
You notice, Nathan, that the chisel and the hammer that's on your clothes, which is the god of stonework and digging and mining and perhaps you find comfort in that, and that sort of reminds you of the power of and the goodness of that god and how much maybe that means a lot to you. Maybe you're a worshipper of this god. Maybe that's where you source your power.
I've never slept out of the cover of trees, but I'm willing to give it a go. Is that what friends do?
Are you down in the basement rooting around, Derek?
No, I feel like this is not the most. This is not the best place. Is there anywhere else that has maybe not had as much damage to it? Or is
This is definitely the most upstanding of the buildings. Yes.
Okay,
Everything else
okay.
seems to have quite happily dissolved into a fine paste of broken shards and shattered beams.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump down there and I'm going to have a look around, and specifically I'm looking for tarpaulins or large blankets or anything that might help us
Adventurers
survive
backpacks.
the night. Yeah.
What do you need? I say to Lorkal.
So you find these things, Derek, in the in-game channel in our Discord, down in this.
Ooh, fancy.
There are some things down here. There is a bed, some.
So the bed is the broken up, pieces of a bed that was actually up on the top floor and it's fallen down in pieces. So there's some wood.
Yeah. Okay. But there's blankets and stuff like that attached to the bed.
Yep, that's right.
And a bedroll. There are some arrows.
Do I remember I'm good with a bow at that moment when he mentions arrows?
If he says arrows, yeah, you get a little feeling of your fingers. Yeah,
I'm good with a bow. How do I know that?
that's cool.
There's no bows down here.
I'll go and find one. Off I go.
Okay.
He just walks around with
you go off.
arrows.
Excellent. I love it.
The next thing I find is a set of dice, and I throw them over my shoulder.
What do you roll?
No, don't. Yeah, do it. Right, laugh it. Woo!
You don't keep the dice?
No, they mean nothing to me. So I throw them over my shoulder and don't bother to pay them any more mind.
Excellent.
And there's a vial of some kind of liquid. It smells terrible. Like a burning smell.
Excellent.
I think you should come down and help me make this habitable for the evening.
So you're rooting off around the place, Murray? Sort of looking
Yes,
at people's
I'm-
houses, going through people's pockets, things like that?
Yes, I'm lamenting the fact that these friends things, they seem to be great, and I'm really upset that I've spent my entire life just away from such a wealth of interesting people to get to know, and sad that there are so many, potential friends who are lying around dead. And that I'll never know them as friends, and they'll never know me as a friend, because I think I'm a pretty good friend. I think I'm a great friend.
You've done a good first half hour. Like, I'm not going to lie, but we're going to judge it on incremental, KPIs.
So,
Right.
do you and Nathan want to sort of look around a bit before you go down and help Derek build some sort of shelter to pass the night?
Yeah, I'm going to do two things if I can. I'm going to just to confirm my suspicions and pretty much know where I'm at, I'm going to divine sense. I can kind of sense good and evil around me, and I'm assuming I'm getting all good. And is there anything within 60 feet that is not good? That is evil?
There is nothing evil lurking in the shadows, or that's right. You don't sense any evil presence, and you sense the good auras, or the neutral or good auras of your companions.
Do they need
whose
healing?
intentions are good and honest. Does anyone need healing? Peculiarly not. Maybe if they keep staying out in the cold for much longer, they might sort of suffer some negative consequences of that. But no, they're weirdly uninjured.
I'm going to use
considering the carnage that's everywhere.
I'm going to use my stone, the ability to kind of see and move and craft stone, to kind of use that to be able to help create a shelter for the night. It's almost as if I just get a few rocks and they form together to create a roof or a structure or a wall blocking off the wind.
Yep. So you and Derek's character, you and Sona, is that right? Yes. Spend some time sort of propping up, the pieces of wood to close up this hole in the floor and create a bit of a shelter over it with the blankets that are found in the bed. And
with the things that I found, can I make a bindle? That's right, everyone. I use the word bindle.
If you've got that on your list, you can mark that one off. Bindle.
Well, it's a stick with a piece of fabric, and I wrap everything else that I've found up inside it and tie it onto the stick and put it over my shoulder.
I love it. like
That's
like a Matilda,
Like the old school
Welsh Matilda.
movies.
That's right.
That's called a bindle. A bindle. Welcome to
So
education.
are we going to say you kind of make some effort to find another piece of sort of blanket or something?
Blanket or another coat, and basically put
Yeah,
everything
coat.
in it, and then
Let's say do it
tie
with
it
a
up,
coat.
wrap it on onto a stick.
I love it.
And go, look, and I'll come back to the basement and go, look what I found. Oh, look, that could go with my arrows. Does anyone else want anything? Ooh. And then I might go off and ferret some more, because this is fun. This is what friends do.
Are you looking around too, Johnny?
I've wandered off into the forest, and I'm collecting firewood.
Nice.
I can collect quite a lot fairly quickly. I pick up some large branches.
Awesome.
You know, whole
Just walks
fir
out.
tree and drag it back. You know.
Ooh.
Nice.
We
And
asked the
maybe-
branches to
maybe
bring a
some of
tree.
Some of the boughs of the fir tree could be good to sort of make this kind of thatching to break the wind a bit.
I love it. Okay, excellent. You
on
turn
my
up.
second trip back,
Yep. Do you want me to give
do
you
I
another?
find anything more? Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I'll do the same thing. And then on my second trip back, I think when I see them building this thing, I'm just going to start doing mending. Oh, this is great. Is this what friends do? This is amazing. I love friendship.
That's so cool. I have to give you the triggers so you can trigger your own spell sounds out. Very sure.
Right, right.
There's your mending.
I've come back. The first time round, I came back with a hammer and a sledge, a mess kit, a parchment, a stool, an iron pot, sealing wax, a dagger, silk rope. The second time, I come back with a playing cards, a sack, a spear, a jug, 1 day of rations and a blanket, and 10 feet of chain.
A peculiar.
I love that you
very
just pick
strange.
up random stuff. Like you just gone around and just like, that looks cool. I don't know if that's useful. It would be like,
yeah, exactly. Ooh, what's this? I don't know. What's this important gold piece? No, don't know that. Ooh, playing cards, exciting.
Found a stone. We could make soup with this.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
It's a sledgehammer. Just to be 100% clear about that.
Sledgehammer, not sledge.
Yeah, not a sledge. Not a sleigh. That's right.
But hang on, we're in the snow. I thought sledge was entirely
I thought it
appropriate.
was
It's like a
too.
mode of transport.
Would have been useful, but
We
no,
found
sadly
it.
it's not.
Oh,
it's not.
so sorry. Hammer, sledge meant sledgehammer.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Okay.
that
I thought it
stands
was
out
like-
to me.
A sledge for carrying hammers. You know.
Oh, like a
the
mining
sledgehammer
sledge.
stands out to the dwarf. So when you turn
Yeah.
up with this hammer, just dragging this massive hammer behind you, the dwarf
Well, I
reacts.
think it becomes the bindle. I've got the blanket tied with everything else in it on the sledgehammer. So. Ooh, would you like this?
I look, is it mine? It seems like it's mine.
It looks no,
Oh,
it definitely doesn't look like a weapon, and it
It's
doesn't feel
yours
familiar
now.
in your hands. But it's certainly very useful for banging in pegs. But it could probably function.
But it feels
It's yours
like
now.
the shape feels. I'm connected. Like it's not mine, but it is. You know what I mean? Like it's as if like
Yeah.
it stirs a memory that I can't quite grasp. But it's
Yeah.
definitely food for thought.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. If you'd like to take that, that would be fine.
When
The
he says food
clothing
for
that-
thought. Sorry, you go, Derek.
Are the things that we're finding?
Yep.
Are they rudimentary? Are they wealthy things? Are they plain things? Are they?
Plain and simple, well loved
Uh-huh.
and well kept and well maintained. There are many of these objects that have just been destroyed, but these are just peculiar things that just happen to be behind a post or sort of behind a rock, or had a tree branch fall on them, or were
Normal
hugged
things.
to the chest of someone. That's right. But
Normal things you find in a
they're-
one town.
That's right, yeah. So it's strange, there's probably would have been dozens of pots. Well, not dozens and dozens, every family would have had their family pot. But there is an iron pot that sort of has survived, good enough to still... It's a bit bent out of shape. And the bow just happened to not be snapped. But it is well kept, well oiled. Certainly not old. It hasn't been sitting here for centuries or anything. It's just been dropped on the ground out of someone's hand.
But
Off I
having
go
seen
again.
just
Yep.
how much stuff Murray's finding, Lorkal's decided to go and lost it
Excellent.
as well.
Excellent.
In his sort of rough way.
Nice use of Fossick. Ooh,
Excellent. You find
Can
some
I-
things too, Lorkal. Yep.
Can I start to build a fire?
Yes, you can. Now you are building a fire in the basement of a wooden house. So let's actually make some checks for that. Definitely.
I mean, part of my prep was to clear the area and clear a space. But yeah, I don't want to set the place ablaze. I also
the
don't
floor-
want to set a fire. If there's alcohol over the floor,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. either.
Can I come back just as he's getting the tinder ready?
Ooh, nice. Yes. Yep.
Here we go.
Oh, I can help with that. Bonfire, boom, right where Derek wants it. Just enough to push Derek back, but not singe his eyebrows. But
I love it.
and then look around
for
this is the way-
approval.
Well, this is
Actually-
exactly. This is the way we all light fires, isn't it?
I actually do a back roll and flip to stand up on my feet
Oh,
before I
nice.
even kind of know what's happened.
Oh,
All right, I see that and go, wow, I can't do that. Is that how you light a fire too?
No, it's how I get away from fire.
Oh, why?
That's
Why would?
cool.
Why? Oh, and I will then move the fire with control flames, sort of left and right, dancing, going.
Oh,
Don't you do that too?
that's cool.
No, you are a particular skill.
Skill.
Oh,
Who taught
I
you this?
no one. I've just always done that, doesn't everybody?
That's so cool.
Oh. And for the first time in her life, Eressa felt shame. But it didn't last very long. Oh, you don't light fires that way?
No. Well,
That's so cool.
this is very interesting.
Oh, this is very different. I didn't realize we'd all be. I mean, considering we're all different shapes, sizes, and races, I suppose I should have expected different things. But I wonder what else can you do?
So the dwarf is in the corner, just with increasing force, swinging this sledgehammer through the air in well-controlled arcs.
Ooh. While I hit stones, because it's very meditating for me, can I look out at the horizon, can I see through the storm at the kind of like the impression of the mountains? Can I?
Are you not down in the hole? You're outside still, are you?
Oh, kind of like nearby, just getting rocks and kind of like hitting with the hammer to form something that's useful.
So let's say you'd gone back out and you were planning on breaking down a stone to prop up. Maybe you're going to make a bit of a hearth to stop the fire from burning everyone to death. That sounds like a good idea.
Well, that's the kind of guy I am. But do
That's
I
right.
notice? I'm looking at the horizon, at the mountains.
Yes.
Do they
Yep.
seem familiar to me? Like, well, I don't look at stars, but I look at because stars mean nothing to me. But the hills, the land, the mountains. Does it spark anything in me? Do I have any connection?
So forest behind you, rising up, not to like mountainous heights, but like to a bulging height. In front of you, facing away, to what, by the look of where the sun is, and the fact that maybe it's going downish soon, is probably south, because the sun is going down on your left-hand side, behind a huge range of mountains, which are to the south, which are over the horizon, but nevertheless rise up well into sight. Snow capped heavily from kind of, like just a third of the way up. And there's a road that heads off to the south and then turns quickly to the west as it heads out of town, where you're just standing there in the street looking
Do
at
I
it.
find the dwarven equivalent of the Northern Star? Do I kind of sense, in the horizon, do I sense the mountain ranges something that is familiar? Like, do I get even if it's just a gut feeling I have some form of knowledge there?
That's cool.
Because the stars and the
There's-
sun mean nothing to me, but
That's right, yeah.
Like, I'm looking for the three
The mountains.
as much
the
as
stone
like,
of the mountains.
yeah, I can like base myself based on where the peaks of the tall mountains that can be seen from most of the land. If I have that knowledge, I'm not sure.
You sense, absolutely, yeah. You sense off somewhere in those mountains is home and familiarity and a warm, well-flued hearth, well stoned and well dug and well maintained.
And are there any smoke piles coming out in the distance? Because I can see the mountains. There's no like smoke pills going up anywhere near.
No, it's too much white in the air to see that sort of detail.
I go back and tell these guys that tomorrow we can go. I have a sense of there is my tribe is to the south.
That's cool.
Ooh,
I pick
tribe.
I pick up the short sword that Johnny found
Excellent.
and run my
did I read out
fingertips
what
over
I
it.
found? I don't think I ever read out what I found. I found a short sword, as Derek mentioned. Sling bullets, crossbow bolts, a shawm, a weaver's tools, and a warm cloak.
A shawm is a musical instrument, much like an oboe, but even more oboe-y soundy. I was going to say
Even
worse,
more
but that's not
oboe-y
really
sounding. than an
Even
oboe.
more oboe-y
A
sounding.
reedier
really
oboe.
loud
You
and more obnoxious oboe.
Yeah, you'd only find it in a one-town kind of situation. Right?
Does the short sword call to me the same way that the sledgehammer called to Nathan?
Yeah, if you like, absolutely.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I pull it out of its sheath and feel its weight. It feels right. And then I put it away and hang it on my belt.
Awesome.
Do I get a sense of, when these collection of items of what used to be around my home camp before today, like a blanket and a bedroll, the dagger, the short bow, the arrows, is that like a sense of this was the stuff that used to make up my day-to-day assemblage of...
No.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
no. So you don't feel any familiarity with any of these objects.
But I know that I can fire a bow
Yes.
well and wield
Oh,
a
yeah.
dagger. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. You know that you could probably hunt a bird or something to eat. Come to think of it, you're actually all feeling pretty hungry. And you know that you could probably, find a squirrel from quite a long distance, hunt it down, shoot it,
Hit it with a
put it on
sledgehammer.
Skin it,
fire.
eat it.
So this is all occurring to you. Absolutely. I love that, Murray. This is all sort of occurring to you and on that spot as you look at this short bow. You're like, I would really love to put this arrow in something fuzzy and meaty and then skin it and put the meat over that fire, and your mouth starts to water as you think about this.
Detect evil.
I'm going to go out and hunt.
Okay, you just walk off.
No, I think I say that. I'm going to go and hunt. Get us some dinner.
Anyone responds? Say, yep, see you soon. Gonna come and help. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'll come with you.
Yay!
I'll stay back with the stone.
Yep.
Yeah.
You continue to shore up the shelter. Yep.
Yeah, me too.
I've never hunted with anyone before.
So, you've got the short bow and the arrows? No.
Yep. Yes.
14
I might
arrows.
bring a spear with me.
Ah, excellent. There is a spear, indeed. Good.
I'm actually going to go out and search the town itself, and I'm particularly looking for documentation or some kind of thing or a map to tell us where we are or what the name of the town is or what place it is in the world. At the same time, looking for food and for general, cured meats or anything like that might be.
Well, we did find one day of rations, but we decided that that's not, rations is when you're desperate.
When you're trekking, yeah.
That's
So
right.
I'm gonna look for something a little-
etc.
Yeah, look for something a little bit more edibles.
So if the name of a town like this was to be anywhere, where would it be? Where do you think? I mean, I suppose that
Any tavern would have a sign or something maybe blown down, or The church?
I mean, it'd probably have a name that's something that, you know, describes where it is, like foothill or, you know, mountainside or something like that.
Population 4.
That's right. Excellent.
Yeah, welcome to sign up.
Yeah.
You know, as on the road on the way in. Do they do that in D&D towns?
I think it sounds quite plausible. Welcome to Talster. Strangers stay away. So I'm putting it in. Yep, there you go. There's the spelling in Discord. Welcome to Talster. So that takes you quite a while to find because things are somewhat obliterated, and maybe you find several letters of this sign and do kind of a bit of a puzzle thing of joining fragments together.
Hacktail. No, maybe.
It's like dinosaur
Now
bones.
we need some epic sort of hunting. So do people have survival?
Mm-hmm.
See if we can locate something to
I
it.
have nature and survival.
Let's say if you get like a 10, you can find a squirrel, and 15 you can find a kind of a boar, like a tiny boar, and 20 you can find some venison for yourself.
Under 5, you
on
hit
survival.
me.
On survival.
On survival,
How's
yeah.
23, Ben?
Excellent.
I got a 15. I'm very impressed with Lorkal's hunting. Wow.
That's super cool. Lorkal seems to sort of slide through the trees like it's his second nature, and the trees seem to bend and guide his very steps. That's fantastic.
What do I find with the 23?
You find a deer. You can indicate to young Eressa a deer just barely visible through the snowy driven hill.
I thank the deer for being there and take aim with my short bow.
That's beautiful. Combat! Go for it.
And that would be, oh gosh, yes, that's a 17 in total.
17.
What's the armor class of a deer?
I don't think it's more than 17, that's for sure. You definitely shoot the deer. Beautiful silent thing. Now, how many hit points does a deer have? Oh my gosh.
Here we go. Like I found an axe, but
4.
4 hit points.
4 hit points a deer has, or 4 hit points damage you do?
A deer has.
I do 1d6, I think, with a short bow.
Yeah. Okay, roll your 1d6.
That would be 4 hit points of damage.
Like a team made in heaven, the deer takes an arrow to the neck, it staggers and gracefully gives up its life.
A team made in friendship, Benjamin.
That's
team
right.
made in friendship.
I hoist it up under one arm around the middle to carry it back.
Friendship.
My other arm's free.
Great! I love friendship.
Friendship literally turned a small, tiny boar into a deer for your hunting trip. That's very, very cool.
with a good dice roll. We're going to come back with dinner and breakfast and lunch.
I like that you left to get a squirrel. You come back with a freaking deer. Like, I just look at it. It's like, we're going to need a bigger fire.
That's right.
You sit there and like, but I'd prepared all the squirrel spices.
That's right.
Yeah. Do we find any?
This is not the recipe I was going to make.
Yeah.
Oh,
do we find it? I sort of keep an eye out in the undergrowth.
Oh, for herbs.
Trees and so on, for herbs and things that might go well with venison.
Bit of parsley, a bit of mint, a bit of coriander. Give me a survival check for that. Definitely.
Did we just start the Bambi movie?
Did we just kill Bambi?
No, it was
I
a
rolled
deer, not a doe. Come on, guys.
Ben, I rolled a crit fail. I rolled a 1.
Oh. Okay,
But
something bad.
I rolled a
Something
15,
dark.
so I think I can maybe teach him a little bit about forest craft. He might find the animals, but like, no, not those berries. Those berries are bad.
Did you just?
Uh-oh.
Did you just brush up against that thing that's now you've got a massive rash on your leg or something?
I like that. That
Yeah.
sounds good. Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you thrust your hand into a bush to see what it's like. It looks kind of a bit cabbagey. It actually is covered in spines, and they bite into your hands with toxins that stick under the skin and burn. Let's say we give you 1 hit point damage as you pull your hand back and go, not, unfortunately, just never quite so fast enough for Eressa to warn you not to touch that bush.
Not
which
those.
is somehow instant. Yes, that's right.
These.
And,
I got a 15.
Yeah.
So I'll get some
good.
time and some basil.
You find some time. You're literally standing there, ready to hold them up and to show him just how excited you are as you just see him pulling back his hand in pain as he takes his bite from this plant.
From the wrong bush. No.
From the wrong bush. Cool. Let's make this hand get redder and redder and more swollen over the next sort of 24 hours. That sounds fantastic.
I love that you have an allergic reaction, like, oh no, pollen.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah,
he's anaphylactic.
A mistake, some herb for a stinging nettle or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Honestly,
I love it.
from such a height, it's difficult to see that far down. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
He was carrying a deer at the time. I mean, come on.
Dear.
Right.
So that's good. So that you, just as they walk into town, Furbolg, sorry, what's your name? Lorkal, carrying a deer under one arm. Was it your left or your right hand? Lorkal?
I guess I was carrying the deer in my right when I reached out.
Yeah, with your left. And you are right-handed, you think? Okay.
I'm left-handed.
He's your left-handed, yeah. Okay, so he's holding the deer and he's sort of just shaking his hand, kind of like a dog that's got bitten on the nose, sort of trying to just shake away the stinging, the burning. And this is just as you turn over, you finally put together these parts of these signs, and it says clearly, in a font that makes a whole lot more sense now, Talster. Welcome to Talster. Congratulations, you know the name of the place that was obliterated.
It doesn't... Or that we obliterated.
Doesn't that ring any bell?
Yeah, does it?
Nope. No, not at all.
Nope.
No.
Nothing.
Should we bury the dead? I say, like it's the most exciting thing ever possibly conceived of. After dinner, I'll butcher this deer carcass, and then we can bury the dead on a full stomach.
You need to finish that sentence quickly. Yeah. After dinner, we'll bury the dead. Yes.
Does that make them sleep better? It seems like a lot of effort to go to
it
someone who
honors
isn't going to
them.
benefit from it.
It honors them. Does it? Do you honor the dead? Is that what you do with the dead? I think you do that to them.
They have returned to the earth from which they sprung. They must now nourish the land and the animals that come after them.
But it is the first step of their next journey. We must treat them with respect. We must lead them on their way.
Do we? What do you do to your dead, Lorkal? They'd be very big.
He says, holding a deer.
I don't know.
Oh, so we can give them and I don't know where this comes from. We can give them a sky burial, which is just leaving them out to be exposed, or bury them.
That is like the worst thing
burn
ever.
them, or put a cairn up over them. How do I know this? No idea.
They will certainly freeze solid probably and stay where they are. They won't be subject to decay, and birds will kind of pick at their icy flesh, presumably. And eventually, when summer comes, this concept you know about somehow instinctually, their frozen corpses will melt, and ravens will pick out their eyeballs, and the worms will eventually infest their bodies and return them to the ground.
This is the way of things. This is natural.
Yeah, I'm taking the dwarf to a mountain. Nope. I could never leave a dwarf. I can never leave one of my own kind with the sky above. That is just how is he meant to travel to the depth of the dwarves travel down to
the dude's gonna fall apart if you try and pick him up, man.
How many of your people are here?
I probably about 3 or 4 you've found in the town out of the 20.
Should we put some stones over your kin?
Is there any looking around? Are there any hills going up? Is there kind of like any kind of like natural space that I'm going to put on
So
my.
there's a
cave
rising
edition.
forest. There's a hill of rising, fir trees, which is kind of that, like a fir tree forest where there's big, strong trees and some small ones, and then the ground is all scattered with discarded pine thingies. So there's this pretty open forest up there, being alpine-ish.
But no, nothing
Like
that I would,
that.
Yeah.
Yes. Pretty much like that. Absolutely. And then, to the south of the town is open grassy plains, which are presumably quite full of life. And during the melt, you'll get lots of streams going out across the plain, and then lots and lots of flowers, and animals presumably migrate there. You should know all this instinctually. And then far to the south, maybe 25 miles or so, there's this big stand of mountains just over the horizon.
Well, that's true. I'll just collect stone. I'll start getting the sledgehammer and actually like cracking stones so that they can become and create a small mountain myself.
You could bury them. You could bury them in the remains of the church.
How many more? I'm sorry, I was asking the question in character. How many more corpses are there?
Probably about 18 more corpses. Some in their houses you discover, and some in the street.
Suno, we've got 3 that we're burying in a can. Why don't we divide the remaining 15 up and we'll skybury 5? We'll put a pyre for 5 more, and then we can bury the last 5, and then we've taken care of all of the dead in a way that's appropriate to someone somewhere.
That's cool.
What?
Sure.
You certainly find the thought, Derek, of only having to dig 5 deep holes much more appealing than the thought of digging 20 deep holes.
The other thing is, we're in permafrost here, I imagine, so digging the ground is hard work.
Yeah, it'll be pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Oh, we could find another basement and make a mausoleum.
There are.
Can I just ask the dwarf, as a religious seeker, what do you think we should do?
We need to bury them, cover them, or otherwise they will not reach their destination. And what is a sky burial? I look at him. I have not been able to hear most of the conversation because you said sky burial, and that is like
That's
everything.
terrifying.
That's like putting 2 words together and going, that just ended much worse.
Well, that's what our friend Suno was talking about. A sky burial is where you leave the corpse exposed and it turns back to nature through birds eating and animals eating it, and then its bones are exposed, like elephants. Oh, I know an elephant. What?
That's super cool.
Oh,
As this happens,
Ben?
I see his hand is all sore from the swelling, and I'm just going to start radiating energy, as if underneath my beard, like a lava going underneath. It's my hand start, and I come over and I start grabbing his hand.
But we can bury them however you like. Don't get upset. Don't get upset.
Are you going to try and cure the wound or cure the disease?
I'm going to use lay on hands to kind of like cure the pain.
Hit points damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if it'll work, but it's something.
Yep. This radiant. So you are at first afraid, Eressa, but then a beautiful thing. So it must be good, I suppose.
A friendly
radiates
thing.
out of
Thing.
a friendly thing. That's right, out of the dwarf's hand. And Furbolg, basically, you do this, Nathan, because he's just there going and sort of rubbing it, and worse and worse and worse. And it does relieve some of the pain. It doesn't take away the swelling, though. I'm very, very on that one. I think we could definitely go with some bad swelling at some point.
Someone's
Maybe
not
some pus.
sleeping well.
Do I get
That's
my
right.
hit point?
You get your hit point back, though.
Yeah.
That's right. So you, you cook up this venison. You obviously have to to get dinner in time-ish. You cut it into relatively small strips or something like that. Someone knows how to butcher it, I suppose. And,
I'm good with feasts. I'm like,
Okay, excellent.
Isn't that just the devouring? Isn't that just the eating of it rather than the prepping of it?
yeah, but I've seen people do it. Like, I have a sense of like everything is the portions are so large, and they're like as if this is like I'm very, very at home in the creating I'm not good at small rations. I'm good at huge rations, and you kind of get the sense that I'm like, I split this deer into 3 or 4 parts and then started cooking it, not like butchering it down properly. I just cook it up in large sections, and it feels like that feels at home for me.
Everyone give me insight checks. And sorry, except Nathan's character, obviously.
15. 15 from me.
12.
A 17 for me.
17. Okay, so to your character, Derek, and also to your character, Murray, it is very peculiar, this dwarf shot in a cassock with clearly the stoneworking tools, the hammer and the chisel. Having seen the way he fairly clumsily has been pushing these boulders out, smashing them with this wildly swinging hammer, which, although it's powerful and probably deadly looking, isn't splitting the stones in beautiful straight lines or anything like that. But seeing him butcher this deer, it's like he's like a duck on water, like a pig in poo kind of. He's found it looks so much more natural and able. He indeed perhaps indeed is someone who prepares feasts fairly regularly.
Are you a chef? Are you a chef?
I look at the food like on a spike over the fire and be like, maybe. And nobody's tried the food yet, but I feel pretty confident in I found something maybe about myself. So
you have a hankering for alcohol too. I mean, not really. This venison would go perfectly with a thick mead or a beer. But despite some extended searches while other people, Lorkal and
going cold turkey.
He's a
Sona
multi-class.
were digging graves. You still never managed to find any alcohol.
He's a multi-class chef sommelier.
Like a
Wow,
dwarf
what
in the
a
mountain.
very
That's
interesting.
fantastic. I love it.
What?
Sandhoff.
A sommelier what?
A sommelier. What? I have no idea how I know that word.
So you pass the evening. It's you do have a good feed and a decent fire, but you don't have a particularly well sealed up basement. You
got
have
one
some
blanket to
degree of
share.
protection. Yeah,
We've got
yeah.
one blanket to share between 4.
That's right. One blanket to share.
And I built a
You
really
have a
good stone
bedroll
wall.
as well.
Yeah, well, not good enough. The wind does blow the blanket aside several times, in the middle of the night, just when you were sort of drifting off. Some of the stones slip out of the way, not particularly well constructed even by a dwarf who should know that kind of thing. There's clattering down of beams as the whole thing gives way, kind of at about 2 a.m. in the morning, just when you're starting to feel angry. And it's pretty much just normal camping. If anyone's gone camping in their life, then you'll know how hideous it can be.
Yeah.
As snow trickles in, and
are you saying we don't get a long rest? That sounds very much like a DM saying you don't get a long rest.
I'm perfect.
Yeah.
I just snore really bad. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that wasn't me angling for you avoiding a long rest. I'm going to give you a long rest. That's fine. But you do feel somewhat exhausted in the morning, so maybe I'll give you disadvantage a couple of times on something that might need concentration.
We did like
the long and the short of it is it's shelter, which is fine, but not particularly brilliant for a long-term solution. You decide, you go to bed thinking life is fine, life is wonderful. We have venison, we have a fireplace, we've got shelter. I'm not currently having snow fall on me, and the wind sounds like something slightly intimidatingly and mounting, but outside. And by the end of by the time the morning light starts to crack through the wholly torn blanket, you're fairly convinced you don't want to live in this hellhole for one more night.
No.
Unless, proper walls or a properly built cot,
So
in a tree.
Faradus said he knew the direction of his people, didn't he?
Yes.
I know. I can sense over there. My tribe. They live in the mountains. It
More
looks
friends.
familiar. I'm not sure. Maybe unless you guys know what you want.
What about you, Sona? What do you want to do?
I am from a very far away place from here. If we can help the dwarf find...
I point in
I don't know how I know that. I just sense that I have travelled a long way. If the dwarf knows of people close by, I will help him find them.
I know no one except you three. You're my friends. Excellent. What about you, Lorkal?
I will go to the mountain.
Then we are
Then.
set.
Certainly a clue for your character, Derek, is that there are no Kalashtar fallen at all in this town. Indeed, there are no furbolgs either, but kind of, they're known for being somewhat sort of solitary.
Any other half-elves?
There are half-elves, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mm.
Do I know what would be most appropriate for a half-elf? To bury
Yeah.
funeral pyre?
Yeah, probably a funeral pyre. Maybe the half-elves are the one you burn. Yes, like Jedi kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, beautiful.
Or indeed,
some would
like elves.
like half-elves. That's right, yes.
I'm going to, just so you know, I'm going to bury my 3 dwarven comrades or family. I don't know. They were like me, especially the one that gave me his cloak. And I'm going to leave the sledgehammer on top of this small mountain I've made, and left as if like a tombstone, this sledgehammer on top of this pile.
You're
of
going to
rubble.
leave the sledgehammer. You're really going to leave the sledgehammer.
It seems that that's what I should do, as if to mark them, as in this isn't rubble. This is a place where people are to delve deeper.
Yeah.
They need it to delve
Okay.
deeper into the afterlife.
Okay,
Right.
that's cool.
I hand you my axe as we leave the town with, strips of venison carried for good eating purposes. And I think
Nice.
before I go, I'm going to gather everything we've got,
Yep.
including finding the dice that were rudely discarded over the shoulder of Suno. And I'm going to put them all into a giant furbolg sound bindle and look up at Lorkal expectantly going,
Local's hand is like the size of me.
And then you need to like pitifully kind of drag it. And go,
That's right. This is so heavy.
I don't know if I've learned the arts of emotional manipulation.
Yeah, that's the
Could
next.
you, I say,
Is Lorkal going to help? Or is he?
I don't know whether locals realize what the hint is.
do you think you could carry all of this on this specially prepared branch I've got for you?
Yes, I can do that.
Excellent.
Gorgeous.
We have a giant single bindle with all our stuff.
One of
Is
the,
anyone collecting? Sorry, you go, Johnny.
I was going to say one of the great racial traits playing a Fearbold is that they can carry as much as a large creature, even though they're only technically a medium.
Nice.
So this is nothing.
That's so cool. Is anyone collecting coins? There have been various coins that people have come across. I know.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
I have no idea what coins are or are for.
Coins,
we
runes,
have
and rocks.
So amongst scattered amongst the items in this ultimate swag or bindle or Matilda that Furbo's carrying quite naturally and easily. 32 silver pieces and 43 copper pieces. Just by the way,
Okay.
we're looking at finishing our game very soon. Do we need to for you, Johnny, or when do we need to go to?
Yeah, soonish.
Soonish.
How much more
So-
do you have for us? To
I
do?
could certainly run on about 10 minutes and then we can stop at a reasonably exciting moment. Okay, good. Just keep going. Does anyone need a break, please?
All
No.
good.
Anyone in
Okay,
the chat?
good.
You all good, buddies?
All good? Yeah.
How long's your lunch break? How long's your lunch break there?
How much did we pick up? All right. So you have 2 roads. One heads off to the north, and most of your instincts would suggest that this is you must be in. More ice and coldness to the north, and less ice and coldness to the south. Are you heading away from
Where are the mountains?
Yeah,
cold? The mountains are
towards-
to the south. That's right. You're going to the mountains. Yes. You
Yeah.
already established that.
I'm not heading towards
Excellent.
the plains and open sky.
We are
You think I
heading
am?
mountain
An elf? Not that I would know what an elf is, but
So
for
you
him.
trudge out of the once was town. What was it called?
Talcha.
Talcha. Past the sign, "Welcome to Talcha," lying laid out on the melted cobblestones of the main street. In fact, the only street. The bodies are cleared from the street, which is very considerate of you. There's smoke rising still from some of the pyres, from the approximately 5 pyres. There's cans inside the ruined stone church, and there's exhaustingly dug and refilled holes with bodies up in the near the forest. And then there's some bodies laid out, aren't there, within the trees, so their souls can clamber up the stalks and enter the leaves and float off into the heavens that way, as elves have due. You set out along the road to the south.
As we go,
Yes.
I'm kind of keeping an eye out for the plant growing beside the road. See if I can find something that might be able to cure the swelling of my hand.
To your hand, your left hand, your main hand is indeed swollen quite badly. It's red and the skin is stretched.
I seem to have good knowledge of various herbs.
Good. Do you want to give me a survival check then, for sure?
I rolled another 1.
Oh my God.
You rubbed it with your other hand to get it better, and now both hands are swelling.
I think you go through the theory that more of the bad thing is a good thing.
Oh.
Cancel each other out.
So what
Can
else? So what else happens? That's kind of.
You
We did
rub
say
your
GM
eye.
intrusions, didn't we? Which is a system we all love. So you indeed. What happens? You either take it and get an inspiration point, or you.
We don't have to do that whole mechanic.
No,
It's
which
more
is kind
that
of cool though.
you can just
Something
make
bad happens.
something bad happen.
Yeah. What more bad could happen to Furbolg?
I think he
Related
rubs
to
his
his
Happens
eye.
to everyone.
Oh,
It could be that I
it's
wander
true.
off into the forest and come across
Random
something
encounter
or-
table.
No.
Random encounter table, Benjamin.
Please don't rub your eye. that
Come
makes
on.
it worse.
Like as I'm fossicking and looking for things, I leave the road and
In fact,
Make something happen.
let's have that drive the story forward. That's an even better thing. You wander off, and people barely notice that you've actually wandered off, because you do move very silently through the snow, as if it's a favored terrain of wildness, and pretty quickly you hear an utterance from Lorkal. Oh, and you all quickly realize he's not there and head off the road following his copiously sized footsteps. And you find him standing on the edge of a crater.
Is there another one?
And lying face down in the crater is what looks like a no, that's right. No, not lying. Let's say not lying. Let's say crouched in the crater is what looks like a young female human, wildly looking around. Her hair is copious, like insanely copious, covering up her in fact like clothes. It's covered in snow, as if she's been sort of scrabbling or trying to work out what to do for quite an amount of time, and she's shivering, and that's what you spot Lorkal was as the rest of your party, the rest of your friends turn up at kind of your shoulder. What do you do?
Is she a friend?
We found a warm cloak, right?
She looks up suddenly and stands, rising kind of imperiously,
Ooh, I'm going to detect good or evil.
Idea.
You detect good or evil, yes?
Yeah, that's not the exact wording. I'm going to divine sense.
Divine sense, what does that do for you?
As an action, you can detect good or evil. Until the end of the turn, you sense anything affected by a hallow spell or a location of any celestial fiend or undead within the area. But yeah.
Okay, so sort of the presence of sort of celestials or fiends or kind of incursions from other.
And just generally, just a holy sense, like my holy gut feeling.
Yeah,
Holy
I
gut.
love it. Holy gut
Picking up
feeling.
on the vibe.
Yeah, it's the vibe of the thing.
There's not from her. There's strange spiritual goings on around the edges of this crater, and in fact, you can see these tendrils of kind of blackness just wisping around the edge of the crater, as if they're trying to penetrate the space around this creature.
I'm gonna put my arm out and be like, be warned. This isn't quite right.
Not a friend,
Not
I
quite.
say.
She looks up at you and she puts her shoulders back, her golden hair sort of draped over her, and she just says,
Attend to me.
and then waits.
I hand her a cloak.
So you're on the edge of the crater, yeah? You walk forward with a cloak.
Yeah.
You sort of one of the blankets you've kind of bundled up. You grab and pull out, yeah.
Yeah, Johnny found a warm cloak. I was going to hand her
Okay.
that.
Okay, good. I like that. You walk towards her and she just stands there waiting, as if she's royalty, and you just sort of drape it around her, and she doesn't resist.
Mm-hmm.
And she pulls it close, and then flicks her hair, and then puts her hands through her hair and flicks out her hair so that it tumbles over.
Is she injured?
I'm going to mimic all of her standing, and because I've got long blonde hair too, so I'm like, oh. So quite clumsily, kind of, wow, this is what an interesting thing to do with your body.
Excellent. Physical power. I love it. She looks around you as if she's regarding her court. It's very
And
strange. I mean,
she
she
doesn't-
looks like she's 14 or something, but yeah, she's not that tall. But she's standing like she's sort of 12 feet tall.
I am Sona. This is my friend Lorkal, Faradus, and Eressa.
Yes.
Might
Who are
you-
you?
She looks a bit shocked that you spoke, and but then she sort of chokes for a little bit, and then she looks around a little, and she just says,
You do not know who I am?
No.
Well, do you know who we are?
Of course I do not know who you are.
Oh,
You are
well, it's-
more mere insignificant mortals.
Oh, that doesn't sound friendly. That's not the way we spoke to each other.
No, it
Even you, Faradus, didn't speak that way.
We are heading to the mountains yonder. You are welcome to follow, if you like.
I love it. She says,
Follow? Will you not bear me on a litter?
No.
just her eyes swing to the dwarf, and they narrow, and you can see kind of righteous power start to bubble up in her expression, as if she's going to manifest something.
What's
or
a
other.
litter? What's a litter?
That's right. And then you say that, and she turns to the half elf, and you see a smile just appear on the edges of her lips, and she starts
friendly smile,
sort of, as if regarding a puppy or something.
Okay. Open-minded.
Yep, that's right. Yes, nice
Ben,
evil dice monkey.
I'm going to look at her and say, we already carry with us the weight of the dead. You're welcome to come along, but we will not bear your burden too.
Ooh, I don't think I would have said it like that, but nice.
She looks very sort of confused, and then you actually see her literally glance at these black tendrils, which are kind of held back and approaching, but seem repelled from all of you. And you see her look around, and then she looks down at her hands, and then she looks up again at your character Murray. And she looks at the furbolg, and you see she sort of just goes inside her head, as if she's rattling around for a memory. And she says,
I will travel with you. We must find my church. I feel something is amiss.
What is the name of your church?
Why? Of course, the church of Eressa. My church. Do you truly not recognize me? Now you all...
now you all know this god. She's a powerful female deity.
Oh.
Eostra. She is depicted as an angel of enormous power, a beautiful grown woman, tall, indeed blonde hair, wings, shards of light shooting out from her. She's sort of a very powerful deity that is a source of good and healing. This girl doesn't look anything like a deity.
I have no idea who that is.
No. Okay. Yeah. No, you wouldn't have come across her. The paladin certainly would.
Yeah. Can I roll religion on it just to kind of get a feel of?
Yes. Absolutely. I think that definitely your one would as well, Derek.
Yeah.
5.
Probably not the furbolg, I suppose. Although
Yeah.
This feels like a non-friend, like a coming with us, but not like I don't want to hold her hand.
Yeah.
What's that called?
The disappointment.
I got a 16.
Okay, yeah. So you know this god. She's worshipped. Her followers are powerful. They're often a place of refuge where people take. They're hurting and they're sick. They're clerics. This god's clerics can cure disease. Furbolg has a rather swollen hand.
What would be the negative side of that?
Yeah.
Like, because they're not one of the three.
From a dwarf's point of view?
Yeah, they're not one of the three dwarven gods, so.
I love it. Yeah, let's say they're intolerant of other religions and probably of dwarves in general. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, and maybe don't like the way they operate in societies, drawing power and wealth to themselves.
Lorkal says, "Are you a priest or?"
She draws herself up again, wide-eyed, her enormous child-like eyes, and she just says,
I am Eostra. How dare you question me?
I'm gonna mimic her exactly and go,
No,
I am Eressa. How dare you not be friendly?
no, I am Spartacus.
Wow. She narrows her eyes at you.
Could I?
And she seems lost. The way you're all behaving seems completely confusing to her.
I've never met a god before.
I look at her directly in the eyes and go, and I am the bearded one. Come on, let's get out of here. The bearded one being
Wow.
my god of, as if like.
So you're kind of, you're claiming to be your god just because you're a dwarf. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just claiming that like if you're not your god, clearly, and so. Well, if you're her, I'm the bearded one. Like,
Let's
We
have a
need to travel to the
Trinitarian debate,
mountains.
everybody.
Yeah, sort of a dismissive, sarcastic.
yeah, as if like, yeah, right.
As if you're really a god. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're really a god, then I'm the bearded one, and this one here is you know.
Yeah, a turtle and a fly, and that's right. Yeah, that's right. Give me insight checks. Probably Derek and Johnny.
Do
Because
that.
you're not kind of
Five?
because you were kind of. Ooh.
14.
14.
Yeah.
So you notice across her face is an act that she's got going here. Is she deluded? She clearly seems on some level to think that she's this goddess, though clearly physically she's not kind of resembling it. But then you also see crashing over her face, just as micro expressions, true kind of shock and doubt, being directly challenged by the dwarf. And she once again just looks down at her hands, and then she clenches her hands, and they just throb, as I don't know whether she's trying to make them work or something, or blow you all up or something. And then she slowly draws her fingers apart. You can see red marks from her nails where they've pressed into her palms.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Very well." Whoops, hang on.
Oh,
Very well. I will travel with you. Which way are we going?
We head towards the mountains.
Well, it's worked before. I'm going to walk down and offer her my hand and go, "Come on then, friend."
Oh, the goal.
yeah.
Excellent.
Say no to the super innocent one. Go on, Ben.
So so let's end tonight there, because that's just absolutely totally brilliant. She looks at you with her head on a tilt, and as initially as if she's kind of some kind of royalty reaching out a hand to touch a lowly one. She reaches out despite kind of her revulsion, and then her fingers touch yours.
Mhm.
And there's an electric warmth similar to the feeling you felt with your comrades, and you see a look of shock and sort of almost half recognition flood over her face, and then she just smiles a most glorious smile, and you feel and you know that you have indeed perhaps found another friend.
Come on, friend. Let's head south.
Let's
Awesome. And you
don't
walk
fall
off
behind.
out of the crater, repelled by the irresistible forces of friendship and indeed perhaps even love. The black tendrils withdraw finally and dissolve and scatter. You re-find the road and head off to the south.
I look back at the tendrils as if like, you know, as if like just a wayward glance to make sure that they're not being followed, as if I've got like a bad feeling about this.
Definitely.
Glass.
You definitely have a bad feeling about the tendrils. Cool. And that's where we shall leave it, walking off towards the mountains to the south, and for more adventure and more to be revealed in the future. Yay!
Interesting.
Congratulations, everyone. That was spectacularly awesome. Interesting. Woo!
Wow.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you
Very
very
cool.
much. That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is our new adventure. Ben, you want to give a bit of a description about what we're doing and why it's all the way it is, and just a quick rundown of where this is going and leading.
We really want to all tell a story together that we're all telling together. That's not a module that we're just reading, because we have realized that we're all best at dungeon mastering when we're making our own stuff, especially when we're bouncing feelings and ideas off each other, and particularly when John is involved in the creative process. This whole adventure was devised with John, who has amazing and fantastic ideas. So thank you for your help, John, and we're very sad that you weren't with us, and we're looking forward to when you'll be with us. But frankly, introducing a new character is far more interesting. So it'll be nice when we add you into the mix. And so we'll be playing this campaign. The idea is to make each of the adventures visitable as kind of standalone episodes, like a television series, but linking with a massive long arc that covers the whole thing. And we'll see where these characters end up.
If you have any good ideas, make sure that you do send it to us in chat or in messages, because we love your feedback, and anything that you can kind of send it through to us. This is a growing story. It's growing with the community and us and the storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So if you have any ideas or stuff that you want to incorporate into this adventure, this is the adventure which we would love to have your feedback in on. So make sure that you do give us that, and we'll be able to go from there.
We have
and tell people to watch this. Sorry, you go, Johnny.
I was just going to say we have a Discord for that.
Yes.
Yep.
Vanderhoof.
The jump on the Discord. Yes.
Dicestormer fans.
And go, tell people about this first episode. This is the start of a campaign, so people will, if you think anyone who might be interested in seeing this first session, once it's up on YouTube or whatever, maybe we'll tweet about that. So share those things, and tell people just to check it out, see if they want to jump on board with us and tell an amazing story. Because with role-playing quality and storytelling quality like that, from people who had no idea what was going on with the story, I suspect it's going to be quite extraordinary and amazing, emotional and beautiful and epic journey, which goes into cool places.
Evil Dice Monkey, thanks for putting that in Discord. That's our Discord, so join up and we look forward to hearing and seeing you guys. We'll probably be doing this next week, or hopefully.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, the
fantastic.
gentleman. I'm assuming that's how you say that, without a vowel.
Yes. Yes. That's going to people's tags.
But like hieroglyphics, really. Oh, we guessed the vowels.
Yes, that's right.
Glorious.
Yeah, fantastic. Good. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna record a recap, which we're gonna broadcast next week, which should be called like last time on the Dicestormers. So that'll be fun.
Oh, should we do that live? No, we'll do that. We'll do that as secret.
Do it secret.
Do you want to do it secret, or do you want to do it live? It's up to you.
I know we could do it now. Let's just make it as quick as possible. Last week on the Dicestormers, the PCs turned up. Oh, sorry.
Oh, we got to get a nice close up.
Here we go.
Last week on the Dicestormers, the PCs found themselves in a completely and utterly destroyed town. It became vaguely, strangely, and disturbingly clear that perhaps they were somehow related to the destruction of the town. The PCs met each other and made friends under the guidance of the gorgeous, gorgeous characters, and particularly Murray's fantastic character. They managed to strip the bodies of their clothes, to clothe themselves against the warmth, passed an uncomfortable night in the destroyed basement. They did, however, have a fantastic feed of deer, headed out into the wilds, and discovered a girl who clearly seems to think she's some kind of reasonably powerful deity. What happens next?
We're about to find out. See you guys.
Yay! Awesome. Bye.
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 Thank you.
Yay. Last week on the Dicestormers, the PCs found themselves in a completely and utterly destroyed town. It became vaguely, strangely, and disturbingly clear that perhaps they were somehow related to the destruction of the town. The PCs met each other and made friends under the guidance of the gorgeous, gorgeous characters, and particularly Murray's fantastic character. They managed to strip the bodies of their clothes, to clothe themselves against the warmth, passed an uncomfortable night in the destroyed basement. They did, however, have a fantastic feed of deer, headed out into the wilds, and discovered a girl who clearly seems to think she's some kind of reasonably powerful deity. What happens next?